I can't tell the difference between my waking life and dreams. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm giving you my non-spoiler review of the first 4 episodes of Marvel Studios' Moon Knight, the new series that's streaming on Disney Plus March 30th. So before I give you guys my thoughts on the show, make sure to hit the like button, comment down below your expectations or thoughts on Moon Knight if you've already seen it, and make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, as I'm going to have tons of Moon Knight reviews and Marvel reviews coming for the rest of the year. So Moon Knight was my most anticipated Marvel show of the year. The trailers intrigued me, and anytime Oscar Isaac is attached to a project, I'm going to have a decent amount of excitement for it. And I can tell you guys this, after seeing the first 4 episodes, I definitely like the show, but I have a lot of curiosity, and I won't be able to talk about a lot of this until the 4th episode airs and you've all seen it as well, but I have a lot of questions that I hope get answered. But I'll start with some positive elements. There is no denying the chaotic elements of this show. With the character of Moon Knight, there's a lot of chaos surrounding him because he suffers from dissociative identity disorder, and the show really puts you in his shoes because our protagonist is confused a lot of the times. He's switching perspectives or personalities, and it's very jarring for the main character, which inherently makes it jarring for the audience watching the show. I actually found this quite refreshing. It kept me on my toes during the entirety of the first 4 episodes, and it's unlike a lot of the stories we've seen on Disney Plus from Marvel so far. And the main reason I'm able to buy into this show is because of Oscar Isaac's performance. It goes without saying, this guy is damn good at what he does, and in the first episode alone, you can see so much confusion in him. There's one shot in particular where he is falling from the sky, and you don't know if it's a dream sequence or reality, and you can just see the absolute terror in Oscar Isaac's eyes. He absolutely sells it in the role. Another reason I was excited to check out Moon Knight is because Ethan Hawke finally joined the MCU. He's an Oscar-nominated actor and damn good at what he does, and I like his character, but I don't find him to be the most compelling MCU villain. I've seen a lot of people saying he has this presence about him when he walks into the room where it's almost like, oh my gosh, you get quiet. I'm not that afraid of his character, and a real critique I have of the show as of now is the fact that it asks a lot of the audience to understand a lot of this Egyptian mythology out of the gate, and it almost feels surreal. Like, it doesn't feel like this is something that you can buy into for the MCU. I kind of compare it to Eternals in a sense that it's a very grand concept, and I kind of view that the same here, because to ask the audience to believe that this Egyptian god is taking over this guy's body, it's kind of a crazy concept, and it almost feels like one of the more far-fetched we've gotten in the MCU so far. When it comes to Eternals, obviously, that was pretty wild to wrap our brains around. But this also feels something that's a little detached from the MCU reality that we have come to know and love. But again, that's kind of just where Phase 4 is heading, so that's not a major issue for me. It's just something that's going to take a lot of getting used to. Obviously, in the past 3 MCU movies with Shang-Chi, Eternals, and No Way Home, we're getting into like multiversal, unrealistic elements, and that's totally fine. I am all on board with that. I'm just letting you guys know, for me, it takes a little bit of getting used to. There's a bit of an adjustment period with the Moon Knight show, in my opinion, and that could be because it is a lot of information to soak in with this mythology and this information about these Egyptian gods and their role in the world, and it can be a little hard to believe and really wrap your brain around. That's just how I felt on first watch, though. Harkening back to what I said about chaos, it works both in the show's favor as a creative choice, but it also is a fault of the show, in my opinion, because yes, embrace the chaos is a saying for this show. The way it's directed and acted, it lets the audience get on board with Oscar Isaac's character, but the chaotic nature can also be confusing to a fault, to the point where it feels like the show doesn't have the most clear direction or end game through the first 4 episodes. And that's an issue that a lot of people have had with the Marvel Disney Plus shows, is with 6 episodes, you have such limited time. There's not a lot of time to waste to get to the final point of the show and have a satisfying conclusion. And through the first 4 episodes, I can't really confirm or deny if the show's going to stick to the landing yet, but it's either going to really stick it or botch it completely, because the end of episode 4 is a pretty wild one, and I will not tell you guys what happens. Obviously, I want you to have that experience for the first time you watch it, but be prepared, because after episode 4, my mind is still bent, and I desperately want to know how this show is going to conclude, because to me, it could either be something extremely special or a disaster. I also wanted to touch on this point. A lot of press interviews and even Kevin Feige has said this is a very dark show, and it's going to be one of the darkest for the MCU, for the blood and the violence and just the subject matter. And to a certain degree, it is definitely a darker show in the sense that it tackles mental health issues with Oscar Isaac's character, and it really portrays that because it's very confused. For example, there's one scenario where he says he was going to have dinner with this girl, but then he completely forgets about it because he switched personalities, and I think situations like that make this show stand out more than others. These actual human interactions where a character genuinely forgets something, whether that be they had a work shift or a date with someone. I liked how they incorporated that into the early episodes of the show, but at the same time, this show is not that violent. I am actually willing to say that the end of the episode 4, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, when John Walker smashes the dude's chest in, is more violent than anything we've gotten so far in Moon Knight. There are shots of blood, but it's not like it's really pushing any boundaries for violence in my opinion, and that's probably because there hasn't been a ton of action. I think the marketing really shows a lot of shots of, Moon Knight suited up and kicking some ass, and that really isn't at the forefront of this show. It's much more of a drama, and I think moving into the final 2 episodes, that might be the case. It's definitely got some action sequences, but they're very minor, and I think they're very well choreographed when they happen, and I think the visuals of the show are stunning, whether that be Mr. Knight or Moon Knight. I like both iterations of that character, but the action is not what this show's all about. So if you're going in expecting some action extravaganza, I would definitely try and adjust your expectations. Through the first 4 episodes, my interest has been waning here and there. I'll be like, okay, what are we doing here? Do we have a sense of direction? Like, what is the significance of going to this certain place? And again, I'm very much dancing around spoilers because I want you guys to have an authentic experience with this show, but I will say that by the end of episode 4, I am highly intrigued to check out 5 and 6 and really see if the show can stick the landing, and I think that's the sign of a good show. I'm really being cautiously optimistic because I don't want the show to be too disappointing if it doesn't stick the landing, but through the first 4 episodes, it's done a great job of putting the audience in our lead character's shoes, making us feel very confused and jarred, almost like when you watch the movie Memento by Christopher Nolan. It makes you feel that way. I like some of the authentic set pieces that feel very true to like an adventure vibe, and it definitely deals with mental health in a way we have not seen explored in the MCU so far. So while the show is jarring and embraces the chaos, it still has a lot of work to do to be considered a show that I love and the best Marvel Disney Plus show. I just like it. I would not say it's my favorite of the shows, and I don't think it's truly groundbreaking for the MCU, but it's definitely a fresh viewing experience that will not be for everybody. It could definitely turn some people away just because of how bizarre it truly is. But that's gonna do it for my review of Moon Knight. I cannot wait for more weekly MCU content to talk about with you guys every single week, at least for 6 weeks, and then we'll get Multiverse of Madness. But thank you guys so much for watching. Again, make sure to hit the like button. Comment down below your expectations for Moon Knight. Are you excited? Do you think it's going to be a letdown? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, as I'm going to have lots of Marvel videos for the rest of the year. Thank you guys again for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.